Alright guys, so in the last video we took care of registration. That's all set. We can register users. It has to have a unique email. Now we're going to implement Passport. One thing that I just noticed is that when we were registering and we got, registered and it took us to the login page, we were getting no message saying, you're now registered and can log in. That's because I forgot the S on this success right here. Alright, that's why that was happening. Just in case you guys are wondering. But now we're going to install Passport. Okay, let me just make sure we haven't yet. All right, so it's not in our package.json. So let's stop the server. All right, and let's say npm install --save Passport, and also we want Passport-local. That's our local strategy. So let's go ahead and install those two things. All right, now we can run nodemon again, and let's close out package.json. And we're going to start in our user routes. Okay, so routes users.js. And we'll go up to the top here, and we're now going to uncomment where we brought in Passport. All right, now we need a route. We need our login form to go to a route, which is going to be a post. It's going to make a post request to users/login. Okay, just like our register form made a post request to register, or user/register. So we'll go, actually we'll just go right above this. We'll say login form post. So it's going to be router dot post, and it's going to be /login. It's going to be recres. Okay. Now, this is actually going to be a little different. Okay, so with this login route, we're actually going to pass in next here. And then instead of doing our own custom functionality, we're going to call passport.authenticate. Okay, now this passport authenticate is going to take in the name of a strategy, okay? And the strategy we're using is called local. We just installed it with Passport local. So it's going to look for that, and then it's going to take a second parameter of an object with some options. So it's going to take in a success redirect. All right, and as you can imagine, this is going to be where it goes if it's a successful login. So we want it to go to /ideas. All right, we also want a failure redirect. Okay, so the failure redirect is going to go back to the login page. So /users/login. All right, then we also want to specify failure flash, meaning do we want to show flash messages if we fail, and we want to set that to true. We want to be able to say, there is no user found, or password doesn't match, or something like that. And then right after these parentheses right here, we need to put another set of parentheses and then a semicolon and pass in here the request, the response, and next. Okay, we basically want this to immediately fire off. So let's save this. Now, right now, it doesn't know what this local strategy is. So we need to create our local strategy, and the way that we're going to do this, or where we're going to do this, is in a config file. So I'm going to just close all these, and in the root of our application, we're going to create a folder called config. And inside there, we're going to create a file called passport.js. Okay, so this is where we're going to define our strategies. All right, in this case, it's just one strategy. Now, remember we installed that Passport local module? Well, we're going to bring that in. So let's say const local strategy. And we're going to set this to require passport-local. And we want to pull a specific object out, and that's the strategy. So we want to say dot strategy. All right. Then we want to bring in mongoose. Okay. We also want to bring in bcrypt. because we need to match our passwords, and our password is encrypted or hashed. And this is going to be bcrypt.js. All right. So another thing we want to do is bring in our model. So let's say load user model. Okay. And we can do that by saying const user equals mongoose.model users. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to basically export a function that's going to have our strategy in it. All right. So we're going to say module.exports equals a function, and then this function is going to get passed in the instance of Passport. Okay, and that's going to get passed in from app.js, and I'll show you that in a minute. All right, but we're going to export this function, and this is where we want to do all of our stuff, our local strategy, also our serialize and deserialize, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But let's go ahead and save this. And then in our app.js file, we just want to we want to bring in that Passport config file. So I'm going to go right under the routes here, and let's say Passport config. All right, we're going to say require ./config. It's in the config folder, and then Passport. And then what we're going to do is immediately pass in a Passport instance, which comes from, actually we didn't even bring it in. We have to bring it in up here. So we'll go, I guess we'll go right here and say const passport equals require passport. All right, so we're taking that and we're passing it in to that config function that we exported. Okay, so let's save that. All right, hopefully, I mean, you shouldn't be getting any errors down here. Let's go back to our Passport.js. Now, if we try and log in now, let's just see what happens. So if we say Brad@gmail, we put the correct password in, submit. Let's see, is this going to the right place? So if we go to routes users, not routes, views, login handlebars. Okay, so we didn't even add the action here. So let's say method post action is going to be /users/login. All right. All right, so it says unknown authentication strategy local. What's happening is it's getting posted here, and it's looking for the local strategy, and it has no idea what it is. So now what we need to do is go into our Passport config file and define it. All right. So to define it, we're going to say passport.use, and in here we're going to say new local strategy. Okay, and this is a function that's going to take in an object, and we're going to say username field. Usually you don't need this if you're using a username, but since we're using the email as our username, then we need to specify that. So we're going to specify that we're using email. Okay, and then let's see, we're going to put in another comma right here, and we're going to put in some parentheses, and then this is going to take in the email, password, and then a callback called done. Okay, so after we're finished authenticating, we need to call this done function. All right. Let's see, where are we here? We want to set this. This is actually going to be an arrow function. So right here, we want to go like that. Okay. Now, when we log in like we just did, it's going to now call this strategy. So what I'm going to do is just test it out by saying console log, and let's log the email. So we'll save that, and let's go back to login, submit, and there it is. So what this tells us, and you can see I can keep submitting, is that this login form is now connected to this strategy. We should be able to get the password as well. So if we go like that, and let's reload, and we'll try to log in again, and now you'll see it's logging our password. So now what we need to do is use Mongoose and use our user model to see if there's actually a user in the database with that email, and then we're going to go ahead and match the passwords, and then we can decide if we're able to log in or not. All right, so that's what we're going to do in the next video.